Each and every day, my friends, the spirit world are trying to get each and every one of you messages. And by the end of this video, you are all going to see some of the signs that they may use. And have they already been trying to communicate? How many of you have just known something, then all of a sudden it happens? This, my friend, is a sign. How many of you have had synchronicities? You've had angelic numbers. Your intuition in those moments will tell you that there is something more to this. It's not a coincidence or a coincidence. Spirit like as well. I don't like us to say, actually, every time I do that, they're like, Jordan, try and be serious. But how many of you are experiencing signs? And in the first instance, what we do is we dismiss. We don't accept. Well, my friends, all of you, by the end of this episode, are not going to be just accepting. You are going to be embracing each and every sign that is sent your way by the spirit world, because we are going to give you the very foundations to understand what is taking place. If you're new to the channel, my name is Psychic Medium Jordan Cockburn, and I can prove with evidence of the afterlife. I've helped thousands of people already on this earth plane to once again be able to reach out and contact their loved ones in spirit from the understandings and the teachings, and now it's your turn. Each and every one of you can become great mediums. In here at Help Heal Serve, we can give you the very foundations to forge your own unique understanding. Not to mention we have the loving and supporting Help Heal Serve family. Before we come into this, I would like to say a big massive thank you to every one of the channel members. I cannot believe how many of you have chosen to embark on this journey as a member. It's fascinating to me to see, because I'll let you all in on a little secret. Little old me, whilst I listened to the spirit world, when they told me I was going to come on and be an educator for the spirit world and to help them to be able to educate the populace, giving mankind understandings that are going to be feasible and understandable and manageable at best, I laughed. I was like, no one's going to listen to me. I look like who in any way, shape or form is going to listen to what I have to say? And they were like, no, Jordan, you are going to do it, and people will listen. And I didn't believe it. Lo and behold, look at where we are now. I think we're members are now at 130. We've got 130 members on this channel, which is phenomenal. And mean it from the bottom of my heart. Everything that you put in towards on this channel, like, it doesn't go to me. Like, please understand, like, I know you become members because you want to donate it, but it's not to me. It goes to this message. It goes to helping me to be able to reach more people, whether that be by getting new equipment, doing new experiments, setting up. There's loads of different stuff that we've got yet to come. Also, don't forget, for the members, we do have the live call-in show where you can all call up during the live stream and you can ask us questions there and then, and I will answer them. It's a great little tool for each and every one of you to use, so you don't have to pay loads of money doing different calls. Just call up during the live stream. You'll see that it is scheduled on the upcoming live streams section on YouTube. Also, I'd like to say a big massive thank you to every one of the channel subscribers. Every one of you who choose the message of Help Heal Serve and you run with it. Thank you to everyone who drops a like in the like section, who leaves comments, more importantly, because we do notice it. And also, just on comments, YouTube has rolled out a new feature called Hype, which I would appreciate it if you do get a chance and you realise how it works. Normally in the comment section you can slide left or right depending on the device that you're using, and what this essentially does is if you hype my videos, it helps me to raise the message of Help Heal Serve to get it far and wide across this earth plane. And really, I couldn't do this without each and every one of you, because you are doing a great job spreading the message. Like, honestly, I can't believe how many of you are not just using our understandings, more importantly, you are connecting to the spirit world. And you can see, it's not hard, is it? Like, I know there's going to be a lot of you who are like, well, you know, hang on, back up a second, I'm not connecting. It is hard, Jordan. It's hard when we have the wrong understandings, but when we start breaking down those barriers of man and we start introducing new understandings into the forefront of your mind, this is when the game changes, baby, and this is why you found the channel. Anyway, let's come over into the video. Also, sorry, I did forget to mention there, at the end credits of all of these videos for you beautiful members, don't forget The end credits are going to be to you. You're going to see each and every one of your channel names. However, that being said, I do get like updates on a weekly basis. So if you haven't seen your name in there, don't feel aggrieved that I'm not putting your name in. It's just, unfortunately, YouTube gives it periodically, all of me new members. It's important for us to acknowledge, coming into this video, a lot of you who are in pain and are suffering, you all want signs from the spirit world. You all want that confirmation, that solace, that your loved one is now at peace in those beautiful gates of heaven. Now, I'm going to tell you something that you may or you may not like. Your loved one is not in heaven. They are not in hell. They are back in energy. We are all energy beings and we will all return back there. Energy isn't governed by the ideologies of mankind, the theories and notions of religion. It's very simple and it's very true. We all return to a collective energy. This is what some people refer to as the oneness. It's probably the closest thing that mankind have on this planet to being accurate, if I'm completely honest. We all return back to energy. They do not have any physical ailments. And I know there's a lot of people who will be like, well, actually, hang on a minute, Jordan. That's not correct. I've read this book, I've read that book. Listen, I don't read books. I don't need mankind's notions or theories. Or when it comes to the spirit world, I can prove what I do, and I can actually prove it relatively easy and simple because I backward engineer the entirety of the process to help each and every one of you to do it. Therefore, I don't need to go and read mankind's books or to do mankind's courses. I've helped thousands of people already on this earth plane to be able to connect to their loved ones. I've got proven track history. I can do this for fun. So when I tell you that your loved ones are in spirit and they aren't in pain, they are not suffering. They are, in fact, I'll go one step further. They're not grieving. And I know you'll be like, oh my God, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. Oh. They're not grieving. You as the human being are the one who is grieving. You are the one who is missing a loved one. And when I say that, right, you've got to see this as the spirit world are with you with each and every second of every day, of every moment. As you go and traverse the journey and the struggles of life, they are by your side. This is what we need to start looking at. Not thinking of them as being up there or down there or billions and billions of light away on a different faraway galaxy called heaven or all of these different concepts, right? The spirit world are omnipresent, like the air that we breathe. An abundance of scientific equipment can prove of the energy realm's existence. That being said, every one of your loved ones in spirit can and do and will get signs to you. But here comes the problem. When we receive signs, they're going to come in very different ways. Majority of the time, we are going to be using what we call the clairsenses. We've got full videos on this, so don't worry about it. The clairsenses are effectively a default sensory, I would say a mechanism within all human beings. Not just one human being, not just chosen human beings, not just selected, not just anointed or gifted human beings. Every human being on this planet has the right and the ability to be able to communicate and receive information from the spirit world. It's the understandings that's at our part. That being said, depending on the state of mind that you are currently in, depending on the struggles that you are going through, depending on the day-to-day disasters that you are enduring, unfortunately, those clairsenses can become silenced. Can even be not just the before mentioned, it could be something like suppression. Have you been told that you shouldn't be listening to spirit or hearing spirit? Have you been told from a young age that you can't see the spirit world? These are all man-made concepts to govern you and to control you and to stop you from being able to connect to your loved ones. This is the clairsenses part. Now, we also have a different way that spirit world are going to get you signs. This is going to come from external. When I say external, what do I think it means? Ask yourself the question, what do I think it means? This is going to be where they are going to be using variables not from within you. They are going to be, for example, they may use a bird. Your loved one loved a specific, magpie. Let's just throw one out there. And magpies was just their thing. You then go hiking in the hills one day, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, you're thinking about your loved one in that moment, and the magpie stops on the path in front of you. This, my friend, is the spirit world have crafted that scenario to get you a sign. But in the first instance, what do? Well, we just say it's crazy idea, don't we? We'll laugh about it, we joke about it. We've been conditioned to believe that signs aren't a thing. We've been told that. And this is what we need to stop. Coming into this video, I'm going to be breaking down every sign I can think of. Let us know if I do miss any signs, because I'm going to. Like, seriously, I can't tell you every sign. I'm going to do my best, though. I'm going to do my best. And I expect you to smash that like button as well, mind. I'm going to try and get as many signs as I can. And the next time you experience any of these, I don't want you to ignore it. I don't want you to think of it as not being spirit. We need to start accepting. By accepting, we are embracing. By embracing, we are becoming at one with the spirit world. And then we can take the next steps. We can start to gain that clarity, direction, and purpose. We can start to once again be able to communicate with our loved one. But only when we acknowledge signs. Let's come over to the very first one. The very first thing we're going to come and cover is going to be thoughts. How many of you, right, have been doing something and all of a sudden a thought will pop into your head? Maybe that be a loved one, maybe that be a message, maybe that be a little bit of guidance. This is the ability of claircognizance. I'm going to try and stay away from the explanations of all of the different senses, because in this video, I just wanted to be the signs. We've got full tutorial videos on Clairsenses and how you can access them. The energy is getting really intense. We've even got videos on how to develop them as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can go and check out the videos for that. But when we are using claircognizance, what's going to happen is, for example, let's just say a hypothetical scenario here. You haven't spoken to a friend for a long time. And you're now thinking, well, it's probably going to be the right time. It's going to be the right time to reach out and communicate. And as you pick up your phone, you see a loved one's face. You see, as if it's been a seal of approval, you making this call. Contacting this person has not just been a case of you wanting to contact them. Your loved one's face is there. And you're like, whoa, that's weird. How's that happened? It's them giving you the go-ahead. It's them saying, look, this is what you should be doing. How many of you have been actively looking for new employment and you just lost? Like a lost lamb. You don't know what way to turn. You don't know what avenue to explore. You don't know what's the right path for you. Where is my journey taking me? Because we spend so much time fantasizing over where we should be going. We spend so much time wishing we could be in a certain place, but we don't put the time or the effort in to get there. We just wish it and we hope for it and we pray for it. The crazy thing is the hard work is the proof's in the pudding. The hard work is by putting in hard work, effort and determination. That's how you get things. But how many of you, right, coming back to that scenario, how many of you have just went for a job interview in something, everything seemed right during the interview, it looked like it was going to be a perfect fit for you. And then another phone call comes through. And this is another company. And it's completely knocked you off track. You weren't expecting this. You didn't expect to have all these different calls. Now you've got the possibility of 2 employment. And you're like back and forth. You're like, I don't know what to do. Then all of a sudden, you have the company call you and you also have 111 come on your phone. Start of a new journey, a new adventure, embarking on a new path, taking a leap into the unknown, that leap of faith. You have an angelic number come through as you are on the phone to them. Your TV might even have it on. You might see something pop up on a friend. You get what I'm saying, right? There's many different scenarios that this can apply to, but this here would be categorical evidence and proof from the spirit world that they are backing you up on the decision to go with this job. Fun fact, most people will see the sign and they'll go with the other job. Because we don't believe in signs. We don't believe in synchronicities. It's not really a thing, is it? And then, lo and behold, we get the job, we start it, and we are sick of our lives. We should have listened to those signs, those crazy signs that could have meant something, did mean something, and we didn't listen in those moments. I'd love to know some of your stories down below, right? And I'm not going to say it all of the time because it's going to get boring if I ask you after every part, right? But I am intrigued to know how many of you have already been using and experiencing this sign and not doing anything with it. Some of you might even be embracing it. Some of you might even know about it, more importantly. The next one's going to be emotional signs. How many of you just feel, you empaths out there, you just feel that a loved one is with you in those moments? How many of you just know through the sense of feeling that there is something more happening in those moments? You feel at one with yourself when you're alone. Pretty much like me. I love my own company. Love my own company. Some may say I like the sound of my own voice as well, but, you know, I mean, I've got to completely disagree with that. But when it comes to my own company, I absolutely adore it. I can't think of anything better than sitting in my own space, if I'm honest. It's like when you see us out and about, right? If you see us like at my son's football, or just a couple of examples, son's football, you'll see all of the groups of parents all together, and you'll see me just on my own, completely side. Not because I'm ignorant, not because I'm nasty, not because I'm just a horrible person. It's just because I like my own company. I don't like other people's auric fields impeding on my... Because for those of you who don't know, right, around the human form, especially when you become very refined to energy, around the human form we have what is called a lower frequency energy that radiates from the beating heart. It's the auric field. It encompasses you. Within this is everything that I have to control. Therefore, if I want to choose not to accept and welcome any negativity into my world, don't mean negative spirits, by the way, because there is no such thing. We've got full breakdowns on that also. Very easy to debunk, actually. But if I didn't want other people's problems impeding on my world, then this auric field that is all around me, it's my responsibility to make sure that other people's problems don't enter that. Therefore, I know it sounds really horrible, but that's the way I am. I'll literally just segregate myself from everyone. I love my own company is the point I'm trying to make. And if you are somebody who loves your own company and you just like, and you often feel that spirit world are with you, you often feel that there is a loved one's presence, even though you might not be able to actually visually see them, you might be able to hear them. You might be able to sense them. You know, it might just be a deep knownness. You, on a personal level, might just know that there is another energy in that room with you, and that's why you want to be alone. You want to be able to bask in it. You want to be able to try and see what you can pick up from it. This is another sign, but it's gonna work in very, very different ways, because each and every one of you, you hear me saying it on every video, you are all unique. Therefore, every one of you on an emotional level are going to have very different values and traits to you as a person, cultivated by the understandings and the journey of life that you have already been through, the roller coaster, we should say, of life that we've been through. Therefore, if you're experiencing times of tranquility when you're in your own company and you just like being around your own self in I'm not going to say meditations, because I hate meditations, right? In fact, I'll go one step further and say I despise meditations. I really do. And I don't know what it is about them. My little ADHD brain just doesn't like us sitting still for that long, to be fair. It's like I've got ants in my pants. I always just want to be moving around and doing different things. So to me, meditations are extremely difficult, and it's just something that I don't really enjoy doing. But if you are somebody who often sits for hours and hours on ends in meditations, then this is also a sign from spirit. They're getting you information, they're getting you downloads during that time. The fact that you feel more comfortable alone, and the fact that you feel a presence but you might not see it, that's a good sign. That proves that you are forging a unique connection to the spirit world using your clair abilities. Anyway, next, come over to the next sign. A lot of you would have heard me speaking about this before, and this is going to be in the form of sleeping. Yeah, sleeping. Dreams. How many of you had dreams with the spirit world? It's absolutely amazing. I always say, right, everyone asks me, how do you know that you've had a dream with spirit? And I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. You can always tell a dream with spirit. And the reason for that is very, very simple. It's not your own dream. The colours are more vibrant. Everything about it changes. The sounds are more audible. The smells are just delicious. And the colours are vibrant. You can't mistake a normal dream for a dream with the spirit world. There's always, as well, when it comes to a dream with spirit, There's always something more to it. There's always something more. When you wake up, you can't forget. It's almost like there's been something implanted in your mind that's going to keep you ticking over and keep you ticking over until the point that you're like, well, actually, hang on, what was I meant to remember there? Fun fact, you never forget a dream at the spirit world. They never allow you to forget. There's always something that you're meant to take from it. There's always also something that you've gained a download for. That's why it happens like that. How many of you have had a dream where your loved one was actually in the dream with you and you were sharing fond memories? You might have even been visiting your favourite place. Well, this is a dream of the spirit world. I know a lot of you will be like, well, no, that's my imagination. That's just what I wanted to experience in that dream, Joan. One could argue and say, well, actually, yeah, you've got a very, very valid point because it's hard to differentiate between the two. But I would actively say to you, if you have had a dream where it has been just so sensational to the point where you know that it was your loved one in those moments, there was something about it you can't explain, don't put it down to be in your imagination. And let's just come back to it a second, right? We shouldn't be putting it down to imagination because we've got to validate these experiences. However, how does this take place? It is through your imagination, believe it or not. Like the spirit will actively come to each and every one of you and they will cloak images, they will cloak ideologies, they will cloak everything that you need to know in a moment. The spirit world are going to cloak. It's like they're showing us now, right? It's like if you think of an old-fashioned movie projector screen and you know where they've got the reels and they've got all of the film on. Well, if you imagine that reel in that entire projector rig shining into the forefront of your mind, if you think of everything white and then you've all of a sudden you've got this reel that's shooting loads of different imagery in your mind, well, the spirit world in those moments are going to be filling that reel. And then it's going to be coming out of the projector into your mind. And they're going to be showing you using your own imagination what they want you to see. Because they've forged the video, they have put together. It's technically not a video. I don't want you thinking there's loads of reels of information around in the spirit world. I'm just using it as a little bit of a visual point of reference for you to be able to kind of understand the concept that I'm trying to explain here. Well, you can never explain. I remember like my dreams used to be, I would say they were normal, probably not normal, but they weren't crazy. And then when I started having dreams of spirit, that just, I think the very first dream I had with spirit, right? Like, I always remember waking up and going, what the hell was that? It was crazy. I was in the third person. They're shouting another thing, right? When you're in the third person, this is another clear telltale sign that you've been with spirit. A lot of the time, people in dreams, you're looking through your own eyes, if that makes sense. You kind of, to me, scientifically, I don't know if this is correct. So to the YouTube bot that's watching, this is my personal opinion of how the brain operates. But I believe that whenever there's been a response, a shutdown within the human form, there's been something that you haven't liked, there's been fight or flight mechanism that's in all living beings kicks in, something scared you, something that you didn't fully understand or comprehend in the moment, maybe somebody was laughing at you, maybe somebody was shouting at you. These are all emotional triggers, and the responses of that is the brain is going to document that, it's going to take and capture an emotional imprint, and it's going to put it to the back of your mind. Therefore, right, it's going to, by it doing that, the supercomputer, what it is, it's allowing you to live your life, it's allowing you to just continue going through. Then when we go into a sleep state, what is going to happen is that's going to come from the back of the mind to the forefront of the mind, and we're going to play it out in our imagination, and we're going to try and make good of it, if that makes sense. I mean, sometimes you can't make good of it, but your brain's going to do the best it can to put you at ease. It's going to help you to understand, if this happens again, this is what we should do. That's how I see the brain operating. Whether that's the scientific way or not, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but that's the way I see it. Always in dreams, you're going to be looking through your own eyes because it's your experiences, it's your pain, it's your suffering, it's everything that you've went through in those moments. However, let's flip this around. When you start seeing yourself in the third person, there's a lot more knowledge to be had there. You are not just learning through your own eyes, you are seeing many different spectrums of how the outcomes could have played out. the decisions that you may have made, the choices that you could have taken. This is where it gets interesting. I remember my dream of spirit, right? It was like, I always remember it was like there was a camera behind my head. You know, like in video games. A lot of you who don't know what video games are, but it's we're little computer characters and we're running around and people are controlling it. We control our joysticks and pads. And it's kind of like looking down at a character, but watching how the character takes different movements. It's fascinating, mesmerizing, and beautiful all of the same. And you learn so much from a dream from spirit. How many of you, right, have had a dream that your loved one was in the room with you at night? You've woke up, perhaps 3 o'clock in the morning, freaking out because it's 3 o'clock. Obviously, it's the witching hour. Oh, the veil's finished. Oh, of course it's not. The veil's not the finished. That hocus pocus originated from years and centuries of poor understandings and misunderstandings at best. Good mediums who can prove with evidence, clarity, and direction of purpose, like myself and many others, we can prove that the veil is there is no such thing as it needing to be weakest at a certain time. We can get spirit communication any minute, any time, any second of every day. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And so can each and every one of you. It's just sometimes when like people go on about the veil and stuff like that, it makes it so entertaining. It really discredits mediumship for what it actually is. Because we can prove that the veil isn't finished. If you've woke up, right, and you've had a dream and all of a sudden you've woke up and you're a little bit scared, and then you hear, it's all right, and it's your loved one's voice whispering in your ear, do you think it's because they've come to scare you? Ask yourself the question, do you think in that moment they have come to scare you? Of course they haven't. It's because we've had a multitude of things. You've woken up, you're already terrified because you don't have a good understanding, and I don't mean any offence, but I'm just breaking it down the way I see it. If you've woken up scared at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's because the understandings that you've swallowed and you've absorbed and made your own. Be careful what you choose to accept, because what you choose to accept is what you welcome into your world. You've got this notion that isn't there to help you. The spirit world have still come to give you that message. They've still come to give you that information which you could actually digest, you could do something with. But because of the lack of understandings, immediately we hear a noise and we're like, sod that, get that light on. That's terrifying. Never again. And then before you know it, what we're actually doing is we're pushing the spirit world away. And it's not because of their fault. Sorry, everyone, the energy gets really intense sometimes. It's not their fault that this is happening. You've woken up from a dream. So you're going to already, your senses are all over the place. You're in a heightened state immediately because you've seen the time on the clock. If your eyes are creeping in now and you hear, Deborah, it's me. That should be a beautiful moment. That should be a magical moment. That should be a memorable moment. But in most cases, it's going to be memorable for the wrong reasons. You're going to be terrified. So yeah, dreams of spirit, right? I would recommend any one of you, right, who have a dream and you just really can't fathom it. There's something to it. You just know on a deeper, more personal level that there's just something to it, but you can't put your finger on it. Accept it as being a dream of spirit. I would also keep a dream journal. I'm a little bit of a hypocrite, and I'll tell you the reason why. I didn't keep a dream journal. If I had have kept a dream journal, I would have had an amazing dream journal, because you would have seen how mental and crazy some of the dreams can be. Like, seriously. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. Same as astral traveling. Astral traveling is amazing as well. You can see some awesome things when you're doing that. It's not the way that mankind depicted, by the way. A lot of people believe that astral traveling gives you the ability through remote viewing to spy on people. Listen, do you really think that the spirit world and energy would give human beings that ability? There is remote viewing where you can see, but it isn't in the materialistic. It's not like, for example, right, this is where the common misconception comes in. A lot of people believe that if I was remote viewing, by the way, I can remote view, but if I was remote viewing you, what that means is I can now come into your home and look around your home and find where you put your keys and where you've hid your money and all of these different things. You will have practitioners who don't ever prove with evidence who will say this, because they never get questioned on it. They never have, and when they do, they just block people or they're just silenced. They're not really interested. Anyone who's got a little bit of common sense can see straight through the little bit of analogy that they've built, the little bit of a paywall. Because I've genuinely seen people who've come to me and they've been like, Jordan, I'm scared. I was like, all right, why? Because this person says the remote viewing is in the, if they don't send us this money, then they're going to keep. I was just like, woo. Back up a second there. They said, what? Oh, well, the remote viewing is right. Well, first of all, remote viewing doesn't mean you're looking at people within the materialistic. It's very different, actually. You are looking at the materialistic world, but through vibrations. You don't get to see. Can you see what I'm saying, where I'm going with this? A lot of people believe that effectively remote viewing is like having a little spy living in your house. It's not. It's really not. People want you to believe that, because then you've got people who will sell you some sort of protection from people who remote view and all of this. The crazy, like, seriously, mankind can be so corrupt. And they can actually be so brazen with some of the scams that they try to do on human beings. Remote viewing is a thing, but it's not in the way that you've all been shown it. Getting back on track with the dreams, right? Keep a dream journal and embrace it. One thing I'll say is the next time you do have a dream of the spirit world, or you believe it could be the spirit world, is before you get up out of your bed, before you start functioning and getting all of your little engine ticking over, and you start, once you're in that relaxed state still, and you're thinking, was that dream a spirit? Just close your eyes and ask the spirit world, did I dream with you last night? And just await a response. Be ready to be blown away, my friend. This sounds a little bit more difficult. This is going to be where you're feeling like you are watched 24/7. And we've got to be very clear when we're saying this, right? Sometimes medical conditions can come into this sign. You do have people who have what's called paranoia, and there's many different forms of different ailments within the human vessel that can cause you to believe you are being watched, to believe that there is energy around you. That being said, to a lot of you, you'll experience energy in a way that you feel like there's somebody with you in those moments. Not only with you in those moments, you might feel an energy tingle, like a cobweb of energy straight over your face. A sensation to not just confirm what you are suspecting, but it goes hand in hand with being watched. I know sometimes this can feel a little bit creepy. It can even feel a bit like, well, why am I being watched? It's not that you are physically being watched by spirit. Your clair abilities and extrasensory perceptions are perceiving that energy. Therefore, the spider web-like tentacles that come out from your auric field and they shoot out all over around you are detecting energy. And that's why it's feeding it back to you. It's like, oh, there's energy here. And that's why you're like, oh, there's somebody watching us, there's somebody watching us, there's somebody watching us. It's not because spirit world are actually watching you. It's because the energy that you are perceiving is giving you that sensation that you are being watched. Again, right, there is a lot of medical conditions that could contribute to this. And we've got to be very clear, if you're experiencing it where it's all of the time, your first best option is always to seek medical advice. Like, seriously, right? But then after that, like, if you, for example, if you are feeling this every time you think about a loved one, then this, I would say that this is pretty good ground and pretty good evidence to support the fact that this is you picking up on energy. If it's a case of it's just randomly happening and there's literally no sort of spirit communication taking place, it's just literally on and off, then there could be something going wrong, literally within the human form. So that I would get checked out. But if we can kind of methodically and logically explain why it's taking place, and in that moment, were we wanting to work with the spirit world, were we connected to the spirit world, then we can start putting it down as being our own evidence. Part of the evidence the spirit world are bringing towards you to help you to understand that they are now at peace, that they are now still with you by your side, more importantly. How many of you have felt the energy change in a room? And when I say energy, right, I'll give you this story. I've got a lot of friends who are doormen. And doormen, for those of you who don't know, are like the security guards who stand on the doors of nightclubs and stuff. The big blokes, you know, that can handle themselves, throw people around for fun and all of that sort of stuff. And I always remember I had went in one day, and I was on the doors at the time, and he had turned round to us and he had said, every time before something happens, I always get tingles in my hand. I think there's something wrong with this. And I burst out laughing. I kid you not, right? I burst out laughing. Bear in mind, this person's a good friend of mine. And I could see the genuine look on his face, like, why are you laughing at us? Like, I've told you something in confidence there. Like, you're a spiritual person. And, like, I don't understand why do you find it so funny? So I composed myself, and I could see, like, the look of shock on his face. And I said, do you not know what's happening? And he was like, no, I genuinely don't know what's happening. Every time there's going to be a fight, every time something is about to go off, I know it's going to happen because my hand starts to tingle. I was like, yeah, I can pretty much sum that up straight away. See that look of terror on your face? We can just turn that frown upside down and make it a big, big smile because you are using your clairsenses. And he just looked and he went, what does that mean? I says, you're reading the energy of a room. You are literally reading the energy of a room. How many of you have went to a friend's house and they've got a partner and you've walked in and you could literally cut your way through the tension? You've noticed that they've been arguing. They're both smiling, they're both giggling. You're like, oh yeah, we'll put on a brave face, we'll not say nothing because here comes Sam. And they've got a big brave face and pair them, and you're just like, I cannot wait to get out of this home. That, my friends, is reading energy. That's there where you are picking up on the energy in that room and you are perceiving it more importantly. Every one of you can do this. And I can guarantee 99.9% of you are already doing this. Sign number 5 is going to be one of the body being affected. This is quite a difficult topic to be able to kind of bring to your attention, but there will be sudden mood shifts, mood swings, changes in demeanor when you're connecting to spirit. And that's not because they're overriding your systems and they're taking over the person that you are and they're trying to accommodate the vessel to steal your life and steal your soul at the same time. It's very simple. As you tap into energy on an energetic level, you start to become aware of that energy. You start to absorb it. How many of you have seen videos, like even for myself, take myself for an example, where I've done a video and I've ended up crying on camera? Because the spirit world will come through and I'll start picking up on their energy and I'll sense exactly what they want me to say to the audience. And it becomes very, very strong. A lot of you will experience this as signs. For example, you may start to get like a pain in the chest. Again, remember, this isn't medical advice. If you're getting pains in your chest and it's frequent, and this is something that you should definitely be watching out for, and to the YouTube bot that's watching, this is my personal opinion based on what I have experienced. The spirit world will give you signs in very different ways. And when it comes into the bodily functions, you will perceive different things. For example, you may get a sharp stabbing pain in the leg. Perhaps the spirit in that moment that you are communicate had their leg amputated. And I know that sounds pretty rough and pretty crazy, but you could even have someone who may have had some sort of disease, mobility disease, and they couldn't actually physically move. You may feel still. This is going to be part of the evidence. I know this is a little bit of a far-fetched sign, but I did say I was trying to put them all down for you. I wouldn't expect this to be something that everyone's doing, but it's certainly something to be aware of. The spirit world can affect you, not in a negative way, not in a horrible way, not in a soul-taking, ha, stealing your body way, but in a way in which where when you are picking up on their energy and they are communicating with you, you start to wear them. You start to wear their emotions. You start to wear what they are thinking, how they are feeling. Only in the moments when you give permission. I say this a lot of the time, right? Like loads of people are like scared of allowing the spirit world to come into your body and to use your auric field and to... Listen, stop that. Like seriously. I've worked alongside of the spirit world in realms, what you call demons, for the entirety. And not one bit of harm's come to me. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because I have a good understanding. A good understanding supersedes the notion of protection. You will never, ever, ever see me protecting from what I love. How many of you, right? Hang on, let us spirit I see and address that, Jordan, right? How many of you put yourself in this position? Every one of you watching this video now will have somebody you love, who you trust, who you would protect with everything. You would give everything for. Right, okay, we've got that locked in there now. I'm going to tell you to protect from them. And you're going to say, I'm not doing that, John. I'm not going to protect from them. My child. It's me father. It's me mom. I'm not going to protect from them. Well, then, so why are we protecting from the spirit world? The spirit world are not going to harm you. The spirit world have never intended to harm you. Fun fact, the only thing that has ever harmed mankind on this planet are the nonsensical notions of egotistical individuals that have corrupted the earth plane with these savage terms, these ways in which the spirit world work, and demons and all of this, right? Listen, mankind are little creatures at best, right? And they have some very opinionated individuals on this planet who don't like to help the everyday person. They want to help themselves. They want to make sure that their big wallet is nice and filled with cash there so they can live comfortably. But yes, coming back on the point there, right? You don't need to protect from the spirit world or the realms. You have to protect from poor understandings of bad teachings. If you fully trust, if you found my channel, right, there is a reason you are watching at this part of the video. You are wanting to become a medium. You are wanting to embark on this journey. You are wanting to enter this new chapter of your mediumship development. That being said, take the bull by the horns, right? Don't listen to the ideologies of man and start protecting and start cleansing and start doing it. Listen, if you are that sort of person that wants to do that, I'm not having a go at you. I'm really not. But to the rest of you who don't want to waste your money and you want to eradicate notions and theories that don't serve you in your mediumship, then listen, I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, you don't need to do it. Remember, a good understanding supersedes the notion of protection. Reading energy is very basic in its form. How many of you, right, let's give another little scenario here. How many of you have been out and you've bumped into a long-term friend? You've never seen this friend for years and years and years, and the last time you seen them, you couldn't stand them because they were like all that. They had all of the money, they had the cars, they had the boyfriends, they had the houses, they had everything their little hot, and everything was on social media, and they were all selfie in it, and they were like, oh, my world's great, la 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 la. And you kind of distance yourself from them for a reason. You were like, I'm not really into that sort of life, and you're a little bit high maintenance for me, and like I'm coming away from all of this. Then you bump into them on the street, and the very first conversation starts like, hiya, I'm doing great, me. I've got a new boyfriend, and I've got this, and I've got this, and I've got... And by the way, this is a female impression. I don't know where this voice has come from. But I've got this, and I've got that, and I've got this, and I've got this, and Brenda, you never guess what. And she's like, I've got this, I've got this. And then you're just looking, and you're like, what? Like, the emotional cues that you're giving off, and when I'm looking at your face, there's a complete disconnect. The words that you're saying don't make sense. And then, so you probe a little bit, and you're like, oh, right, so are you still with them then? And they're like, yeah, I'm still with them, and blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, oh, well, hang on, something still doesn't make sense. I've confirmed my suspicions. I've asked the question, but they've then said there's nothing wrong. But I'm being told by something else that there is something wrong. Next minute, you know, you ask again, are you sure that everything's all right? And then that's it, don't let the breakdown in tears, and that's it, they've missed you, and they can't believe their life, it's all gone downhill, and all of this. This, my friend, is a typical example of you reading that energy. We've given 3 different examples there of how energy can be used, and I can guarantee each and every one of you are going to have your own little stories to tell. You're going to have your own experiences, because from being exceptionally young, this is a clear ability that you will refine the most, because as human beings, we work on two-way communication. You ask me a question, I ask you a question. And in the interim period, psychically, we are awaiting a response. For example, if I ask you a question psychically, I'm waiting to not just hear your response, I'm watching your facial features. I'm watching for any changements in your body language to suggest a yes, a no. And this is how psychics work, by the way. Like, seriously, to any of you who think that is psychic something special, I mean, even mediumship's not special. Like, I've got to be honest with you, it's just a process that you can do. But psychics, a good psychic, can literally look at every micro stutter within your movement. They can get a baseline from the way that you're looking left to right. Like, seriously, psychically, on an energetic level, you can gain so much information from a person. And that's why it makes so much sense that this would be an ability that you have used from the very, very beginning, because it's part of the way of our living. It's the part of the way that we communicate with one another here on planet Earth. So the next sign is going to be one of sound. Clairaudience is going to be the primary clairsense that you're going to be using in this one. How many of you, right, have heard words being spoken to you in a moment? And you can't put your finger on it. You don't know why it's happening. You haven't asked for it to happen. And a little bit of a disclaimer, that's majority of the time when you are wanting spirit communication to take place, it's because you haven't asked for it to take place. And I know you're going to be thinking, wait, that's what do you mean, Jordan? Like, surely I have to ask for it to take place. Energy is always there. And all we are as a human being is effectively a receiver and a transmitter. We are receiving information from spirit and we are transmitting information to spirit via thoughts. That's literally all we are. Therefore, as a transmitter, that transmitter is always receiving information from the spirit world. But our awareness is what is going to pay attention to it or not pay attention to it. Majority of the time, what will happen is right, when you first start hearing sounds, and I'll give you the very first example of, well, actually, I'll give you an even better example. I'm going to change the name of this individual because I don't communicate with them no more. It's a bit like one of them toxic vampires, so to speak. Like everything around their world has just got to be them. It's like, oh my God, I couldn't think of anything worse than having to listen to someone who just everything revolves around them anymore. But I'm not going to say the name. In this, we're going to give the name of Stacy, right? And it's not Stacy, my PR assistant, by the way, everyone. It's not that Stacy. It's her name, unfortunately, I've thought of here. Coming to the sounds and coming to using clairaudience, one of my fondest moments, and I'll try not to get emotional with this one, but one of my fondest moments is where I literally saved somebody's life. And I know a lot of you are like, oh my God, what on earth are you on about? But this is the reality of this. It's not a game to me. It's not a game that I play. It's not something that I just casually do. I think a lot of you can see how serious I take mediumship and how bringing quality control back to planet Earth, I take it exceptionally serious. I wear my heart on my sleeve and I do things in the right way. Well, this person, I hadn't spoken to her for a long time. And all of a sudden, I was at work and I was actually just typing away. And I heard in my ear, using clairaudience, tell Stacy, don't go out. And I was like, whoa. And you know, like you stop for a second and I was like, what on earth was that? Like, where's that noise just come from? Like that was, and even though I know how spirit work, even it freaked me out a little bit. I was like, whoa. I only knew one Stacy. So I knew immediately who it meant. I then went on Facey B and I typed in her name and then she popped up and I sent her a message says, look, I really can't explain this. Please listen to what I'm about to say. Don't go out tonight. She was like, oh, I've just met this new boy and I'm going out for a ride with him in his car and blah, 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 blah. And then I heard again, tell Stacy, don't go out. I says, look, I'm really don't mean to be funny here, but I can't tell you how I know, but just don't go out tonight. That's all I'm asking. Just please bear that in mind. Don't go out tonight. Anyway, I thought nothing of it. I passed over the information as you should for spirit. You don't think about it again. That's it. You've been used in those moments, used as the conduit to the message. It's not for you, the information. It's not for you to hold on to tell tales. It's literally it's a pass through. You've just done what you've been asked to do. And then the next morning, I got a phone call off her crying her eyes out. I'll never forget it. And she sent us a picture when she was on the phone. She says, "How did you know I wasn't meant to go out last night?" I says, "Well, you're not going to believe it, but the spirit world told us." And she was like a bit like shook up by it. She was like, "I can't believe it. The person I had met last night, he was in a car crash, and the entire side of his car had been wrote off. The passenger side where she would have been sat had been obliterated. There would have been nothing left of her." So, like, obviously she was extremely upset, as you can imagine. I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Like, not that happened, but like, I've just saved somebody's life. That's amazing. Like, how much more evidence could you need to believe, to be part of something as special as the spirit world? And that there is a clear example of what can happen when the spirit world are trying to communicate with you via signs. You are going to hear audible responses, commands, statements from the spirit world with clarity, tone, and conviction, with vocal tone. Also, another thing that I'll mention, right, is sometimes when you're coming into using clairaudience as a sense, or if the spirit world are trying to get you messages or they're trying to speak to you, a lot of the time you'll hear like a rumbling or a buzzing in your ear. This isn't to be confused with tinnitus, although it does sound exactly like tinnitus. So to the YouTube bot that's watching, a little bit of a disclaimer, I'm not saying that this is medically what's wrong with people, but what I am saying is there are parallels to it. If you are having experience in like ringing in your ears, then all of a sudden you are having spirit communication coming through. That there, my friend, is how it will work. The vibrations that they are sending, the sounds that they are sending, your automatic body's response is you are going to get tingling in the ear, then the information is going to come through. If you're just getting constant tingling in the ear, then we need to look at, could it be like a medical ailment with you? But if it's happening in every occasion where you are trying to communicate with spirit, or not even trying, you are thinking about spirit, or you are having some sort of an occurrence where you believe that spirit world could be influencing you in some way, then this could be a good sign. I tell everyone you need reference points in mediumship. To me, right, when I connect, which is going to be different to every one of you, not because I'm special, but because we're all unique, we've all got our own little different ways. For myself, when I connect, it's instant because of my understanding. It's not instant because of anything I do, it's instant because of my understanding. My understanding is very strict, it's very black and white, there is no grey area. The spirit world are omnipresent, they are here, they are now. We are the problems in the scenario. We can become not the problem by gaining a good understanding, realizing that the spirit world are always sending us information, always sending us signs, always sending us signals. Be very wary if somebody tells you that, you know, you can't connect. Be very wary if somebody's telling you that these signs that you are experiencing aren't signs. Because I've given you quite a few there already, right? Now, I know for a fine fact there's going to be 50% of you who watch this video would have been experiencing some of these at some point. Anyway, let's come over to the next sign. Now, this is going to be one of the signs that a lot of you are going to be freaked out by, but people like me absolutely love and adore. This is going to be where you see shadows moving. You're going to see actual apparitions. Let's break it down a bit, right? First of all, we have good and bad spirits, don't we? Of course we don't. We've disproven that already. What makes a spirit in its entirety? It's the energy part of the human form. The energy part of the human form is the soul. It resides within the stomach area. And as the human part of you ceases to exist in the materialistic plane, what happens to the soul? It'll whisk back off into energy. It'll retain some facets of the person for evidential purposes of who you were. But the ugly humanistic traits, the jealousy, the anger, the greed, the corruption, the hatred, all of these different things that are cultivated, die and stay with the body. It's a product of the mind. Everything that you are, everything that you have become, is being conditioned by the experiences you've been through, and it's stored and retained within the mind. Therefore, if you are a horrible person and you like to beat people up, or you like to do this, that is in your mind. That is what gives you the right to free will to go out and exercise your humanistic abilities of doing whatever hell you like. That being said, when it comes into the spirit world, however, what don't you have? What don't you have? You don't have the mind. You don't have that part of you. The second the energy part of you leaves the human form and goes back over into energy, you cease to exist. That part of you that has become corrupt, that has become horrible, has become arrogant, who has all these different things, narcissistical, all of these things are die and stay with the body. For evidential purposes, if a medium goes to, for example, you go for a reading, and your loved one was a horrible person or somebody like that along them lines, and the medium's going to have to give part of that evidence. It doesn't mean that they say they're the same person in spirit now. If they come through and say, look, I was like a horrible person, this is how I used to treat them, this is how I used to do this, that's not because they're still the same person. Don't get it twisted. The reason why they are going to come through and give that information for clarity, direction, and purpose, if the medium knows how to do it correctly, is because they want you to understand that they are now in the spirit world. It's part of their evidence. It's part of their story. They've got to acknowledge that. When we are speaking about evil spirits and dark spirits, well, the problem with that notion is we've already just debunking it within 2 minutes. Yes, entertainment does a very good job of wanting there to be evil spirits and evil. And why is it? Look at the world that we live in, right? The parallels that run in this. We've got the yin, the yang, the good, the bad, the up, the down, the left, the right. We've got all of these different polarities, right? All of these opposites. The thing is every one of you will liken the spirit world to our world. But one of the biggest misconceptions is why do you think we come to this world in the first place? Because our world isn't like this. We don't have the right to free will. We don't have physical forms. We don't go out at different experiences. We can't learn in the spirit world. We can learn by watching mankind, but that's not the way that the soul develops. We've got to come and have these experiences for ourselves to go through the tribulations of life. Therefore, we've explained about good and evil spirits not being a thing, and we've also explained there about how we shouldn't have the polar opposites in the spirit world, because that's not the way that it's designed. The reason why I explained that is because now we're going to come over to white shadows and black shadows. Well, from the explanation, you've already understood there's no such thing as, so why do you see black shadows in? Is that because a white shadow is of light and it's good, and a black shadow is of dark and negative things? No. What it actually is it's the environmental factors that are going to, your eyes are going to perceive the light in those moments. That's literally all it is. Some of you who have very refined clairsenses are going to see full body apparitions. You're going to see spirit in that full form. You might see like a body, like a full body moving. That's, fun fact, that's how I see spirits. Like I see spirit in their full form. Or you might just not have it refined enough, and you might either see black or white, just little dots just shooting to the side of your eyes. Fun fact, right? You can actually refine this, so don't worry. If you're just seeing the little dots every time you turn and you're seeing like a little black thing shooting that way, that's not because the spirit world are trying to scare you. It's because they're trying to show you that you have clairvoyance and you are using it in those moments. They try to help you to refine it all of the time. I'll not tell you all of my stories where I've seen the spirit world, but I'll give you this one account. I was actually quite fitting because a couple of weeks ago I took my son out to a place in Eldon Garden in Newcastle upon Tyne, and it's basically like stepping into the place. I had never been there, and it looked like we had entered into some sort of derelict part of, bear in mind it's a busy shopping centre, and then we went into this part and it was like a derelict part of it. There was like literally shops closed, there was nothing there, and there was escalators I took up. I was with my son, and my son didn't really believe that I could see spirits. He knew I could, because, listen, he's not stupid. He's not stupid. And he knows that I'm not a liar, and he knows for a fine fact the person I am. I don't do things for clicks, views, or likes. I do this because I'm passionate about it. I enjoy it. So he knows that, and he's also had experiences, not with spirit yet, but he's had experiences that like are just mind-blowing. Like angelic numbers and stuff like that. I'll tell you a story about that after this, actually. So we're going up the escalators, and this lady come from nowhere. I mean, I turned round, and behind us there was this little old lady staring into my eyes. And when I say that, like, she was like literally, like, you know, when somebody's looking through you, and I was just like, there's something different happening here. I can't put my finger on it, because when I see spirits that look like humans, I can't differentiate. You know how people say, oh, there's a faint outline around them, or there's a glow, or this is when that clair abilities aren't refined. When people are telling you that they're see-through, or they're transparent, or they're opaque, or they're seeing these big glowing whites around them, that's because it's their clairvoyance isn't refined. When you see spirits as you see humans, this is when it is peak refined. This is, you can't get any more refined than that, because you are literally seeing a spirit as a human being. I was just staring at her, and I literally took my son and moved him in front of us. That's how much I was like, whoa, where did you come from? What the hell is going on here? The next minute I know, we get off the top of the escalators, and I kept like looking over to make sure, and she was still there, just staring straight through us. So I took him off the escalator, and then the next minute I says, did you see that lady? She was a bit like, whoa, a bit scary here, wasn't you? And then he says, what lady? And that's when I realised, I went, it was a spirit. It was a spirit. And then he just looked at us, and the penny dropped, and he thought, you do see dead people. You literally do. I've just seen how you've acted. That there is a kind of cool story. But I'll tell you what, let's give you a little cool story about angelic numbers as well, right? So I'd taken my son. I should have mentioned it on the angelic numbers part, shouldn't I, really? Oh, no, I think that's coming up next. But anyway, right. So I took my son out to Northumberland National Park, I think it is. And the premise of the trip was to go and see the stars, to try and get him on board with like something a little bit different rather than playing computer games. And I thought, we'll spend the night. We'll just go. We'll get loads of pictures of the sky. We'll go and get this, go and get that. Me being me, I'm very ill prepared when it comes to certain things. I mean, a lot of the things, to be honest, but I shouting a lot of things. Yes, I know I'm not perfect. I don't intend to be. But this night, I had done it spontaneous, and I says, right, jump in the car, let's go. And we're driving along the road. Gets there, and it was a complete nightmare. The clouds were out, everything. Bear in mind, we had spent about an hour and 30 minutes to get to where we were going. And it was just the dark skies weren't dark. They were cloudy skies. And it was so disappointing. And I thought, you know what it is? I can't believe this. I've built his little heart up, his little dreams up to come and see the stars. I've brought him here. I should have been a bit more equipped. So I was kicking myself, really. I was a bit annoyed with myself, because I thought, you know what it is? Like, that this is wrong. I shouldn't have done this. Then lo and behold, anyway, what happened next was we're driving back. And I think to kind of may feel a bit better, he says, oh, it's all right, Dad. And I was like, oh, well, that's all right. And that makes it all right. And I was like, well, it doesn't, like, but you know. And he says, do you know what it is? If I could just see anything at all, it would just make me night. And then he went, oh, look, Dad, look at the time. 1111. I think it was 1111. It might have been 2222. It was one of the angelic numbers anyway. And I remember just saying, why did you say that number? Oh, I think it was 2222. He says, why did you say that number? And he was just like, oh, I don't know, just said it. I says, well, you could have looked at the clock at any point and said something. You could have looked at any moment of this drive, and you could have looked at the clock and you could have said something. You chose not to. I'm just asking you why you chose to say that. It's like, oh, I don't know. I just can't describe it. I kid you not. I've always told him his spirit animal's an owl, right? Because he's so wise, he's so knowledgeable, and when it comes to certain things, he doesn't miss a trick. Like, seriously, he's got a keen eye, fine eye for detail, and he's very, very like smart and clever. And I'm not just saying that because he's my own kid. He seriously is, right? Puts me to shame for intelligence, put it that way. Goes round this corner. There before was an owl in the very centre of the road. And I kid you not, I freaked out. I went, what the hell is that? And it was an owl. Because at first I didn't realise it was an owl. I just seen these two big eyes looking at the car. I thought, whoa, what's happening? And then he went, oh, it's an owl. I was like, well, hang on a minute. You've just literally said an angelic number. Then your spirit animal has just come in front of us. I was like, this is a bit too much, this, like. So anyway, it gets up to it. And it was just staring at me, man. It wasn't going to move. Like, I literally had to stop the car, reverse, as it was watching, spinning its head all the way around like something off The Exorcist. I had to reverse my car, drive all the way around it, and then it was still watching as we drove off. I was just like, mate, tell us what the lottery numbers are, because I've never known anyone to be able to do what you've just done there. You've just literally asked for something to happen and it's happened. And that's not the first time it's happened for him, by the way. Like seriously, again, I can't speak for him because it's one of the paths that he's going to have to take. But the amount of times that the spirit world have like come through him to speak to me, or vice versa, it's to help in a situation. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Anyway, let's come over to the next sign. How many of you are starting to spot signs in terms of synchronicities, patterns emerging? Maybe as you walk into work one day and you've got this deep instinct, this intuition from deep within you that you need to leave the job. You shouldn't be working there. There is something more for you. There is a life that it's not fitting in with what you were imagining. All of a sudden you are walking along and you see on the side of the bus advert, leave. There's many different words, but you pick out that one word. A lot of people say, oh, well, that's just because that's the way that the brain works. No, that is the way signs work. That is the way that the spirit world will get you information. You're walking along and it says, leave. You come up to another bus stop and you see, now. You spot everything on the writing. There's lots of different words, but then you spot now. This is the spirit world getting you symbols. They're getting you signs using words, using things within the materialistic to give you that little bit of a heads up. How many of you going off angelic numbers where you'll go to start a new job and you might just all of a sudden look at your phone and you've got 1111. You might even have many different forms of it. This, my friends, is not something that's going to not happen to all of you. I can guarantee you, each and every one of you will be experiencing this. It's whether you choose to accept it, though, that's going to make it different. When it comes into synchronicities, how many of you have just had things that have just fallen into place? Almost like the divine hand of spirit has come down and then put you into that situation. How many of you have experienced this time and time and time again? But we just put it down to luck. We put it down to it must be the path that we're on, we must be a lucky individual, and all of these different things that mankind have. The reality of it is what is happening in those moments is the spirit world have been working with us. The spirit world have given us insights, they have given us clarity to help us move forward within our world. Therefore, what we have to do is start acknowledging this as being of spirit so that we can start actioning it in our everyday world. Signs and synchronicities, right? It's like reoccurring. How many of you have had like deja vu and had things along those lines where something will just come to you? You just instantly know something in that moment, whether that be something's right, whether that be something's wrong. But you can't put your tabs on it. You can't understand it fully. You just know that there's something in that moment. There is something that is happening that we should be paying attention to. This, my friend, is a recurring theme. This is a synchronicity. This is where the spirit world are helping you to spot different things. How many of you, let's go to another example, are out in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden, you pull out your phone and you see multitude of angelic numbers on it. You see patterns emerging in front of your very eyes. You're seeing patterns with numbers. You're looking at web pages, and as you're looking through the different social media platforms, your eyes are perceiving specific words. That is the spirit world getting messages to you. How many of you have been in a car and all of a sudden you're thinking of a loved one, and then your loved one's music comes on? Wow, it's amazing. It's a sign. That there is the spirit world getting you a sign that they are by your side in that moment. They are listening to that music with you. This is going to be the last sign, right? And I would say this is probably one of the most prevalent signs of the lot of them. How many of you, right, have just become a recluse? And when I say that, right, I don't mean that in a nasty way. Like a hermit within themselves. And that's not bad. That is a good thing. That means that spiritually you are at one with yourself. You don't have to be outgoing all of the time. A lot of people see being outgoing and saying that that's the way that we should always be. But when you start working on yourself on a personal level and you start working from within rather than externally, often we go silent. And this isn't a bad thing. This is a good thing. You need to start embracing it. To those of you who see this as a weakness, don't. Literally, work on yourself. Understand that friendships are going to change in mediumship. Friendship circles are going to change. Relationships are going to change. The spirit world will do their very best to make sure that you have the correct people in your worlds. How many of you have realized there has been drastic changes in what you watch, what you like? Not because you're being conditioned by the spirit world. Not because, and yes, you do have your own wants, needs, and desires getting involved, but what I'm trying to say is how many of you have started watching spiritual content. You've started absorbing mediumship content, psychic development content. You are wanting to do this all for yourself. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you are now starting to embark on a new journey. You can't explain it. You don't know why it is, but it's happening. It's here and now. Well, this, my friend, is also another clear tale sign that the spirit world are getting you signs, because they are wanting you to be able to succeed. They are wanting you to be able to find out the irrefutable proof that the afterlife exists. And you, my friend, are part of the key of communicating to it. They can get in touch with you each and every moment and every second of every day, if only you give them an option, if only you give them a chance. Remember, when signs, I know I've give you like a crash course of loads of different signs there, right? And I know some of them could be mistaken as being something else. But there's one thing I'm going to tell you right now, right here, that's going to help you to be able to concrete any experience that you may have with signs, synchronicities, angelic numbers, etc. In that moment, ask yourself, is this from spirit? The first thought that comes into your mind, if it's a yes, or you believe it could be, stop believing it is. Because that is the only way that we are going to change the mindset. That is the only way that we are going to get you on board with the ideology that there are such things as signs. They're coming to you thick and fast each and every day. And when you start accepting one, they start sending more. And when they start expecting more, then you start becoming aware of even greater signs. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you found something from it. Signs honestly could go on for ages. And I wanted to just give it like a quick insight to anyone who might be new coming into this. Some of the things that you can watch out for. Let us know down in the comment section if you think I've missed something and there's something that you would like to help to raise awareness for everyone, because what we'll do is we'll just put it in the comment section so everyone can see, and you know, it helps the rest of the family. If you did enjoy this video, why don't you consider smashing that like button, subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so. Don't know why you wouldn't have, to be honest. It's absolutely free. And check out the videos pinned at the top left and right. And until next time, bye bye for now.